Hi boys and girls, today we are going to continue with 9.2 stem and leaf plots. I'm going to show you guys two different types of stem and leaf plots today, so we'll be kind of quick here. So for the first one, notice that we have the weight of 12 pumpkins, and probably the first thing that jumps out at you is that most of these numbers have a decimal to it. So I just want to show you guys that a stem and leaf plot can represent decimals as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for my stems. So looks like my smallest number is 2.1 and my biggest number is 9.3. So my stems are going to be from 2 all the way to 9. Okay, now let's go through. We only have 12 numbers here, so we could probably get away without putting these in order from least to greatest, although it is probably going to make your life easier if you do it, but let's try to do it without it, so to save you guys time of watching me put it in order from least to greatest. So the smallest number we have is 2.1, and we have two of them. So I'm just going to write two ones over here, and both of these numbers represent 2.1. So then I have a 2. Let's see, I have a 2.5, a 2.6. So this is 2.5, this is 2.6, and I also have a 2.7. All right. So next I have threes. Let's see what I have. I have two 3.1s. So let's get them in. 3.1 and 3.1. I have a 3.2 and a 3.4. So a 3.2 and a 3.4. And the next one I just have 4. So I can't just skip that. I can't just put nothing there, because if I don't put anything there, then it looks like there are no numbers that weigh 4 in the 4-ounce range, or 4 pound, let's say, in the 4-pound range. Whereas we have 5 pumpkins that are in the 2-pound range, and we have 4 of them are in the 3-pound range. If I don't put anything there, then it's like there's no pumpkins that are in the 4-pound range. So what I have to do is, this just says 4, but really we got to think of it as 4.0. So I can just write this as exactly 4 pounds just by putting a 0 there. So let's see, we've got that taken care of. There's nothing in the 5s, there's nothing in the 6s, there's 1 in the 7, so we have a 7.1. There's nothing in the 8s, and we have 1 in the 9s, that's 9.3. Now remember, there's 12 numbers here. What you should do when you're done with your stem and leaf plot, at least you think you're done, go through and just count the numbers. We have 5 and 4 is 9, 10, 11, 12. You have all numbers accounted for. Perfect. Now, the next thing I want to do is make my key, right? So I like to just choose the very first number. So the first number here is 2.1. So I'm just going to write this, 2, the /1 equals 2.1. All right. Now, again, a couple things to notice. On the homework, some of you guys put like a 1 before. Like if the smallest stem is 2, you don't have to put a 1 there. If there's nothing that's in the 1 pound range, you don't have to put a 1 there. However, once you start with a stem, you keep going without skipping any numbers until you get the last stem. So that's why I've included a 5 in there as a stem, a 6 in there, and an 8 in there. Even though there's no numbers in that range, we're still going to put all the numbers, we're going to go consecutively from start to finish. All right. This one, I'm going to make what's called a double stem and leaf plot. So as you can see here, I have scores on a science test. I have some scores for the boys and some scores for the girls. Now, just by looking at the numbers the way they're written here, it might be difficult to make a judgment as to who did better, the boys or girls. It might be hard to go ahead and figure out, who had the highest score, who had the lowest score. So what we're going to do is we're going to organize this data into a double stem and leaf plot. So the first thing we have to do is we have to find the stems. Now, in this case, the stem is going to go right in the middle. All right. Now, so it doesn't matter which one we put. We'll just put boys here, and we'll put girls over here. So when we find the stems, we have to find stems that work for both boys and girls. So we're just using one set of stems. So it looks like, just by looking at this, it looks like my lowest score is a 58. And the highest score looks like it's a 93. So yeah, so I have a 58 is the lowest score and the highest score is a 93. So that means my stems are going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So for scores in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So now let's go through. So for the boys, now I'm going to start with the girls. So that's just going to be, this could be like a regular stem and leaf flat. So let's look at the girls first. So the smallest, I don't have any scores for the girls in the 50s, but I have one in the 60s. So I have a 61 there. There's nothing else in the 60s. Let's go to the 70s. I have a 73 and a 76. So I have a 73 and a 76. And a 79. All right, for the 80s, I have an 84, an 89, and an 87. So an 84, 87, and 89. And then for the 90s, I have a 91 and a 93. So 91, 93. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 scores. Over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 scores. Perfect. So I have accounted for all of them. Now, for the boys, I have to work backwards. So, so here we go. So for the stem of 5, I have one score, which is an 8. So I'm going to put an 8 there. For the stem of 6, I have just one number. That's a 3. So we haven't really got, we haven't gotten to the backwards thing yet. So let's, for the 7s, we're not going to get, so let's keep going. So for the 7s, I have a 79. Now for the 80s, I have an 81, an 84, and an 89. So I'm going to write this as this: 81, 84, 89. So I'm doing that backwards. And then for the 90s, I have a 91 and a 92. So I have a 91 and a 92. Nope, that should be a 2. Perfect. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scores. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scores. So perfect. So now if I have it written like this, I could sort of make some judgments, or some really quick ones. I could say, well, the lowest score came from a boy. Looks like the highest score came from a girl. I could say that both boys and girls had scores in the 90s, had 2 scores in the 90s. Both of them had 3 scores in the 80s. So I can make a lot quicker judgments from that, and it might make it a little bit easier for me looking at it like this to decide who did better, the boys or the girls. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and make a key first. So in this case, I have to make 2 keys. All right, so I'm gonna let's make one for the girls. Let's go with the boys first. So the smallest number here is 58. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna write this backwards, because as you read this left to right, you read 8/5. So you're gonna write 8/5 equals 58. Because that's what this 8 represents. This 8 is part of this 58. So when you see this 8 going left to right, you read that as 58. The smallest score for the girls is a 61, so I'm going to write that. That's like a normal one we've been doing. 6/1 equals 61. So going back to looking at sort of who did better, I think this is really kind of close, but just kind of on your own. Let's see if you get any extra points. Anyone who tells me what the average score for each one of them was. It looks like if you just look at the 90s, the girls got the advantage there because they both, boys and girls, have a 91, but the girls have a 93 compared to a 92. So the girls have a little bit of an edge there. For the 80s, we have, both of them have an 89 and both of them have an 84, but this, the girls' 87 trumps this 81 here. So I'm going to say the girls have a slight advantage here. So, yeah, figure it out. Anyway, that's it. So if you guys have any questions, your work for today is just going to have you guys making 2 cup more stem and leaf plats. Definitely one of them is going to have a double stem leaf plot. So that's your homework. Just don't forget, guys, when you're doing the double stem leaf plot, whatever one's on the left side, you're working backwards with this. All right. And of course, when you make your key, you got to do it backwards as well. All right. So that's it.